thank you to those in the previous Canadiens video who commented Cale Fleury. If you want a chance to be featured in the next one, then stick around to the end of this video over here. But today's video is going to be a doozy. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot of news, so let's just get into it right here. Because it's my favorite time of the year here. Right before the draft, we have ourselves a whole bunch of crazy stuff to talk about. News, rumors, trades, prospects, updates all over the league. And admittedly, it is the busiest time for me as a YouTuber on this platform that talks about hockey every day as well. So it's going to be tough keeping up with everything. But hey, we're going to try our best to talk about what is worth talking about in my opinion here. And we're starting things off with Marc Bergevin. We had ourselves yesterday the Montreal Canadiens general manager doing a meeting with the media where he ended up discussing a few things, talking about the Habs, updates with the players, and we're just going to be doing our little part here in this video going over some of those updates because some of this stuff is a really big deal and it could indicate to us the quick returns or the potential no returns of some of the most important players on the Montreal Canadiens that we all know and that we all love. So let's start off by talking about Carey Price. Yes, the entire man of the hour who was exposed to Seattle but he left unscathed and who eventually returned to the Montreal Canadiens organization alongside of Jake Allen. Marc Bergevin gave an update to the entire injury situation with Carey Price, and man, I'll just say this right here, it's kind of akin to what I was hinting at could potentially be the case in our video talking about the bet whether or not it would pay off and all that as to the Canadiens and the Seattle Kraken expansion. This is what Bergevin said about Carey Price yesterday. It's nothing alarming at the moment. He played all the minutes in the playoffs and he played very well. He had some bumps over the past 2 months, but he's seeing doctors. We're not expecting anything major, but we will see once they look closely. Perhaps he'll be out 6 to 8 weeks. He also says that there is a small percentage that timeline could be a little bit longer. And to that I just kind of say, huh. You know, it's a big because the Seattle Kraken Expansion Draft happened the other day, and the biggest story that we had about Carey Price was that this guy knows that his health is complicated. He knows that he's really expensive, and as a result, it's why he wanted to expose himself in the expansion draft so the Canadiens could use a spot in their goaltending protection list for Jake Allen instead. And I said the idea the other day, oh, what if Carey Price comes out here and they do all the tests and it just turns out that he's going to be okay? Like, he's not going to miss extended amount of time. He's just going to be there after maybe a few weeks. What happens then? Because sure, if Carey Price is out for the rest of his career or whatever, like somebody else we're going to be talking about here today, then that's going to be really bad if the Seattle Kraken take this guy. Just absolutely astronomical, terrible stuff right there. But they didn't do that. They took Cale Fleury instead, who we believe is going to be a great addition to that team, but Carey Price, hearing the news here that he's only going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, if that timeline is starting today, then 6 to 8 weeks from today, that's going to be like in September. Sometime at the beginning of October, he should be fine and good to go, right? That's going to be perfect. If it's from the start of the season, though, 6 to 8 weeks from the start of the regular season in October, then that's a little bit different. Okay, we're seeing a timeline of Carey Price probably returning sometime before the new year, so it's a little bit more scrambled up in that scenario. But either way, we still do have ourselves a good update on Carey Price that he will be fine, he will be okay, a small percentage that he will be gone longer. But that's not the only update that we have, though, because we have ourselves some other things talking about some Canadian stuff. Let's stick with all the good here, because when it comes to good stories, yes, Carey Price being okay, that's good. Another thing that's really good, hey, Jonathan Drouin. We met with Jonathan Drouin, and he feels great. He's focused, and he's ready to go, Bergevin said about Drouin and his potential return to the team. This is what Arpon Basu said on the matter. I will say, I've never been happier to be wrong about something in my career. I was told that Drouin returning to the Habs was an extreme long shot multiple times, and the news of him doing well is excellent, as is his willingness to return to the team. So there you have it. Apparently all the insider information as to Drouin never returning to the Habs again, or it being extremely unlikely that he ends up returning, turns out it was wrong. And for guys like Arpon Basu reporting on all this stuff, good on them to admit that they were wrong, and to at least acknowledge that, yeah, it's good that they're wrong, because we love seeing the rejuvenation stories like this. You would rather see a guy like Jonathan Drouin be happy and okay with his current life situation than to see him struggling and whatnot, because at the end of the day, there's a big human element to all this stuff. I've said my dues the entire time. Every time we spoke about Drouin here on this channel, I always kind of said the same thing, whatever it is he's going through, Habs Nation is behind him. No matter what it is, we want him to come back, we want him to succeed, even if it's not with Montreal, as long as this guy is able to healthily come back, mentally well, physically well, psychologically well as well. Hopefully he comes back and he's ready to go. And it appears that from Bergevin's update, that is the case. So it's awesome to see Drouin coming back. Can't wait to see what he can do playing with Suzuki and Caulfield, baby. Oh my goodness, Drouin, Suzuki, Caulfield. Who's asking for a lineup like that at the top of your forward core? Like, seriously, just think about the offensive possibilities with Drouin, Suzuki, Caulfield. And, I'm starting to get really excited for next season. But now that we've talked about the two good stories coming out of these updates here, Price and his shorter than expected injury timeline, Jonathan Drouin and his coming back to the team, let's go over the more somber and not really all too fun story here. Let's talk about Shea Weber. He's a perennial all-star, he's going to the Hall of Fame first ballot, baby, and most likely, according to Marc Bergevin, he will not be back this season. In fact, we might not actually see Shea Weber return ever. Marc Bergevin says that Shea Weber has several injuries in his ankle, foot, knee, and thumb. Despite that, though, even missing a practice for him was not an option. He has a lot of mileage, he won't be back next season, and he probably won't be back for his career, Bergevin says. And if that's the case, then man, I just really want to showcase how much more of an appreciation I've had for this guy. Because we know how exactly he is on the ice. We know how much of a leader he is. We discussed this a few videos ago, the impact of Shea Weber and what exactly it is he means to the Canadiens, not just on the ice but off it as well. And he's always been a gamer, He's going out there playing big minutes, doing all this stuff out there on the ice, standing up for his teammates, being an absolute rock with a hard, heavy slap shot. And to hear that he has been suffering through all of this stuff, foot, knee, ankle, and thumb, 3 of those are actually skating related. That's a really big deal, and honestly could be seen as a very big contributor as to why Shea Weber's skating hasn't really been the same the past few seasons. This is what Marc Bergevin said about Weber as well. He is surprised at how many minutes Weber logged in the playoffs, but nobody was aware of the severity of the injuries he sustained during the run. He also says that Weber is a man of few words and not really one to complain about the pain he endures, so Bergevin himself was super surprised when he found out the extent of the captain's injuries. So with Shea Weber going out on the LTIR, most likely for the season, maybe even for the next few years, that's a boatload of money the Montreal Canadiens are freeing up, man. And honestly, just thinking about the possibilities, it does get me kind of scared as to what Marc Bergevin is going to be able to pull off here in the offseason, He's getting a big payday on his roster. A whole bunch of guys are going to be available in free agency and in the trade market. What's Marc Bergevin's plan now? And in fact, if Shea Weber goes out there and eventually does, pull off a Nikita Kucherov, or maybe sometime in the next year, he is all of a sudden A-okay again, Imagine how crazy it would be, just for a hypothetical scenario. This is not going to happen. This is just me spitting off the top of the dome here. Imagine the Canadiens get Dougie Hamilton. They get a Seth Jones. They get somebody who is of that caliber. They get a big-name defenseman. And eventually in the playoffs, they make it because, okay, Drouin's back, he's playing with Suzuki and Caulfield, he's tearing the house down. Carey Price is out there doing what he needs to do, Jake Allen's doing his thing on the backup role, and eventually the Canadiens make the playoffs. And what if Shea Weber comes back, dude? How crazy would that be if we ever find the time space for Shea Weber to actually recover? Not saying it's likely, I'm just saying as a possibility, a hypothetical scenario here. The Habs were able to make the finals and do all this stuff without all the extra handouts here. Shea Weber being out allows new opportunities for other players to come in. Drouin coming back is a great thing. Carey Price and his timeline recovery is fantastic. But for Shea Weber here, if this really is the end, then my goodness, man, absolute perennial stud on the blue line in his entire NHL career here. He will be missed, and I think Canadiens fans are always going to have a big soft spot for Shea Weber. So talk to me in the comments what you think about this entire update over here. If you made it to the end of the video, comment in the comment section below Austin Matthews, because did I hear Austin Matthews? Yeah, that commercial ticks me off as well, but you know what, it is kind of funny. So if you made it to the end of this video, then comment that in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Rolls 99, and bye.